Hey guys, it is time for Tea and a Book Tuesday with author Lisa Prysock, and this is episode 35. I'm coming to you from my front porch here in Kentucky. It is another beautiful spring day outside, and the sun is shining, the birds are singing. I've got a cup of tea. I am drinking a Celestial Seasonings tea. It's called Country Peach from this fruit sampler, and I haven't had a country peach tea in a while, and I put some honey in it. It tastes really great, so I hope you have something to drink that you enjoy and a few minutes to chat with me. So I wanted to answer a question that a reader asked me. How does it feel after you finish writing a book? Because I just finished writing a book and I am pre-recording this to help me remember and answer this question, since I did just finish writing a book. And it is a great question, so I really thank the reader that asked me this, but it's one that's in my files from a while ago. So I wrote some notes down so that I don't ramble around too much, and I'm going to try to answer this the best that I can. So you do kind of have a feeling that you're just elated and thankful and happy to have finished a book. And that never really seems to go away. Each time I finish one, it is a very joyous moment in the life of a writer. And I also feel like a lot of relief that, I made my deadline, if that's the case, and that I've been able to finish it in time to get it to my editors and so forth. Usually my legs feel extremely restless after a book, and I just have this feeling of, I can't wait to take a walk and get out of my chair and be able to move around more. And that is probably the hardest thing for me to cope with and adapt to. And another thing is I do tend to feel tired, especially if I moved my schedule around to make the deadline. I just, at that point, when I finish the book, I want my schedule to return to normal. And, especially if I have been near the end and I push through in spite of whatever hour it was. So I've usually pulled some really long hours to finish it, and that has usually left me really tired. There's usually a point in the book where you feel close to done, but yet you're far away. And a lot of times I start that push through right around that time. So sometimes I've been pushing through to finish the book for as long as a week, with slightly longer hours than usual. And it usually messes with my schedule quite a bit. So that happens, and there's that feeling of, I want to be, on days, and I don't want to stay up late and finish this book, and you just want your schedule to really go back to normal. So that's the other thing that is sometimes really hard for me to cope with, because I do tend to write better at nights, so when it's quiet. So I'm usually really ready to see the sunshine. And then there's all kinds of things that I want to catch up with, like self-care. I just want to paint my nails and put makeup on if I haven't done that for a while. I usually want to get some exercise and have some really good nutrition if I haven't been. Sometimes I'll do more microwavable, quick meals to finish a book, or sometimes I'll skip meals. And I know that's not always the best thing for me, although it can be healthy to do short bursts of fasting. So, it just depends. But I usually want my nutrition to improve, and I usually want some companionship with my family who have been waiting for me to finish the book. And usually I'm really itching for some entertainment time. more reading, or maybe watching a Hallmark movie or two, to just kind of refuel, because a writer, you're just pouring out everything inside you onto the pages of the book. So you really need that refueling time. And another thing is your mind turns towards all kinds of things. Like, will my readers like this book? And, how long will it take my editors to get it back to me? In other words, how many days do I have to just kind of rest and relax and get caught up before this book comes back to me? And is it ready for my editors? Sometimes I wonder about that, and what will they think? And a lot of times my body is very sore from sitting, so just really have that itch to move around. Or sometimes my back or hips are hurting or can feel out of place. So sometimes my feet will swell from sitting. So those are all things that writers cope with. And often my mind has to come back to the real world. Like, I've been concentrating on what these characters think, and what they're doing in their world. And it's kind of a fictional make-believe world usually, unless I'm writing nonfiction, which I have done, with many articles and blog posts and a nonfiction devotional that I've written. So, but no matter what you're writing, usually your mind has to return to real life, So, it takes time for your mind to stop kind of whirling around that. And I find that I'm still thinking about the book long after I've finished writing it. I'm thinking about, are there any changes that need to be made? I wonder what my editor's going to recommend that I change? Are there any plot holes left? Could I have done this better or that part of the book better? Is there any way that I can make it better, or something that I left out? And I'm usually really hungry for feedback from my editors about it. How did it go over with them? Did they like it? Was it kind of boring? Were there some parts that were too tedious? I would really like to know what their opinion of the book was. And I want them to be honest with me, as much as it might hurt. I have learned to kind of shrug off that, and I want to know what their opinion is, which is just very valuable to me, so that I can make those adjustments in the book before I share it with the world. And then I start thinking about, I should write an author note, or is there some bit of research I need to share with the reader, or reader book club questions I occasionally include in the back of some of my books. And then I start thinking about how to market the book. Like, how do I want to share about it, and what would I want to share about the book so that it's not a spoiler with my readers prior to publication or in the process of marketing it. I also start thinking about advertising. There's certain types of advertising that authors try to secure. And of course, you want to get it in your newsletter, and you want to set up some posts to share it and introduce it to the world with your readers and in reader groups. So there's all of those kinds of things you want to create. And plus, if you haven't already written the blurb, your mind turns to the dreaded blurb and writing it. And it's not so dreadful to me anymore. I really enjoy writing blurbs, but at times it can be challenging when I'm not sure what I want to say about the book. And I usually have to put a little bit of thought into that blurb. And sometimes it comes to me, and other times it doesn't. I have to work on it a little bit. Then there are things like the mail pile. I just want to get to the mail pile and file all that stuff, because my husband doesn't tend to do the filing, so it's all on me, and it just usually backs up that whole last week or even two of writing the book, especially if I'm not able to focus. Sometimes I'm not able to focus on multitasking when I'm finishing up a book, so sometimes it's hard to pull away and do some of my real life responsibilities, so that weighs on me. There's cleaning usually to be done that I've put off. I have heard some writers say that we just live in squalor, and we don't. But, it's very hard to think about cleaning the bathroom when you're thinking about your hero. So you just have to slowly get back all those things in order, like vacuuming and all that. So it's really nice if you can just I try to do just one thing around the house a day, even if it's something small, so that it doesn't back up on me. But it generally does. Something has backed up during the writing of every book. And during those first couple of days after it's finished, my mind just really wants to get to that and all the social functions that I have to do. And then, of course, there's just that moment of thanksgiving to the Lord for giving you another one. And, of course, you think you're done, but you're really not, because then it comes back to you. So then the real work begins of trying to make sure that you get all the appropriate edits in and that you don't miss any corrections. So, and you want to get it out to your ARC readers and things like that. So it's pretty interesting after you finish a book. And so that's what I'm basically going through right now. So if it seems like I'm hiding a little more than usual, or maybe you see me more on social media after a book is finished here and there, you'll know that, oh, she's finally finished one and has maybe a little more time for that. Or maybe you'll see the writer hiding because they need time to just pull away. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this episode 35 of Teen Book Tuesday with author Lisa Prysock. I would love to hear from you. Tell me how your day is. I've had a beautiful walk. I hope you enjoyed having another video filmed outside. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear your comments and feedback and thoughts about this.